Maritime Made is brought to you by Invest Nova Scotia. Experience and expertise strengthening your business.
After studying the ancient craft of goldsmithing, Emily Keans created Forged Coast Goldsmith. She currently works out of her home studio in the Annapolis Valley of Nova Scotia.
Forged Coast, we offer a wide range of jewelry. We do like trendy costume jewelry up to high-end, more fine jewelry, like heirloom quality stuff. And yeah, I do the designing and making behind everything. I graduated from my traditional goldsmithing course in 2016. I went to George Brown in Toronto. Once I graduated, I pretty much hoofed her right back to Nova Scotia as quick as I could. And from there, I just kind of made designs that I felt drawn to. And within like a year and a half, I was doing it full time. And it's been my full-time thing ever since.
Emily designs and makes fabricated jewelry where each element is made by hand. The ring being made today is one of her most popular and unique designs. The gemstone she's chosen is an antique turquoise cabochon. Scalloped bezel wire is measured around the stone. The cut line is scored with a wrought iron scribe. To ensure a tight fit, she continues trimming. Pliers help make sure that where the ends meet, it can be soldered flat. The scalloped bezel is placed on a charcoal block. With hard solder at the ready, flux is painted on the bezel's seam. A flint is used to ignite an oxygen propane torch. The solder is added, and the end is soldered closed. Each time Emily solders, she watches to see it shimmer. Glowing, the bezel is placed in a jeweler's pickle pot. The solution removes the fire scale as well as any hardened flux. An item only needs to stay in the pickle for a minute before being removed and dunked in water. The solder is examined. The bezel is worked around the gem from the top and then the bottom. Pliers help, but it forms to the gem if it's the proper size. A border around the bezel is made with sterling silver granules. The top is lightly framed with wire to start shaping it. Then it's scored and cut off. Once the fit is checked, any excess wire is trimmed, then lined up again to be soldered. The border is placed on a charcoal block. Using flux and solder wire, it's soldered on. Then it's back in the pickle pot. It's placed around the bezel once again to be sure it's the right size. Ideally, it'll click into place. Adjustments are made to ensure it's tight. Silver sheet is used to make the back plate of the ring. A piece is scribed. The jeweler's saw frame is put together with its blade, and the back plate is cut out. Using nylon pliers, she's making sure everything is flat. Once satisfied, the back plate is placed on a charcoal block. Using a medium solder and flux, the back plate and the bezel are soldered together. A solder pick is used to hold it. The artist is careful to ensure no previous soldering is damaged. Once attached, it's placed in the pickle. Afterwards, the ends are sawed off. These edges are filed next. The smoothness is checked repeatedly. The setting of the ring is examined against her hand to ensure it's straight. The goldsmith continues to make adjustments throughout the process.
I would say my main success has been successfully finding a manufacturing partner that can take on a lot of my really successful designs, so that can free me up to continue designing more things in the future, and just makes it the workload a little bit more doable for me. I had a design that did really well in, I guess it would have been 2019, and I remember releasing it, and then I had 60 orders right away. So then immediately my 3 months after that was just making that one thing. And that kind of proved to me that having outsourcing some things was really important. So yeah, that process was long and at times very discouraging, but I found a fair trade manufacturing partner who has the same ethics and environmental focus as I do. So that was a huge success, I thought.
The band will be made with half-round sterling silver wire. It's scribed and cut out, and the ends are filed. Each end is measured using a jewelry divider. This is where the band will be split in two. Each end is then gently sawed in down the middle and pulled apart with pliers. A ring mandrel is used to form the shape, and some excess is removed as the ring size is checked. It's flattened with a mallet so the gem will sit nicely. A bit more is trimmed and the opening is adjusted. A small dent on the back of the base is sanded off with a sanding stick. The band is set in a third arm, a type of clamp, and soldering begins. The solder has to be slumped on the top first so the gem can sit there. Once the band has been removed from the pickle, it's set back in the third arm. Flux is added to the solder slump, and the setting is placed precisely. It's soldered again, then goes back in the pickle. Then a bit more soldering is done with the setting face down. Once cleaned off, it's examined. Wearing a respirator and using a tool called a flex shaft, the finishing and polishing begins. A dry silica-based radial wheel is used first. This gets in all the nooks and crannies. The tool heads are changed using a chuck key. A needle file is used next. Then a polishing compound is used on the entire surface of the band and setting area. The ring is washed with hand soap between polishing compounds. The border is darkened by oxidizing the silver with sulfur. A little is painted on the edges. This is then rinsed and dried off. After more polishing, it's nice and shiny. The stone is set. The bezel is pushed tightly around the gem. A burnisher smooths any metal that might have been missed. All solder seams and the tightness of the bezel are examined. Lastly, a silicone disc is used to polish the bezel. Sold online or at markets, each finely crafted piece of jewelry is packaged with a care card providing instructions on how to look after your new treasure.